Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are you today? It is a special day today, April 13, 2021. It's Vaisakhi. It's first day of Chaitra Navratri, and most of the Indian subcontinent is celebrating New Year's either today or tomorrow. And it's also the first day of Ramadan. Ramadan Mubarak to all of you. Today marks the beginning of the holy month of fasting in Islam. To talk about Ramadan, I'm honored that we're joined today by someone whose name needs no introduction in Calgary. She may be petite, but she is a force of nature. She's a leader, a doer, and knows how to build bridges with empathy and compassion. She also speaks publicly on refugee and immigrant issues, activism, anti racism, religious discrimination, and women's issues. But she's here today to provide insights into Ramadan and share with us her Ramadan story. Let's please welcome Saima Jamal. Hello, Saima.
Hi, Roop. So good to see you.
Pleasure to see you. I know that we were going to talk at 5 earlier, and then we changed it to 6, and then there's a lot happening today for you. It is the first day of Ramadan. So tell me how you're feeling.
I'm feeling great. There is 1.7 billion Muslims that have started fasting in Ramadan all around the world today. So just that joining all these people, then fellowship and camaraderie, and doing an act of striving towards godliness, it brings so much joy in my heart.
Well, you look radiant.
Thank you. That's all for you.
And then you have a crown on your head too.
Yes, that's a wall decoration that's been there for many years.
That's the first thing I noticed when I came on. I'm like, Saima, why are you wearing a crown? Simon's well,
I know, right?
You don't need to wear a crown. You are a queen, and there are so many people who look up to you. I only bring people on. I feel like I bring people on TCCN, like who everyone looks up to, and all of you are so motivating. And after I'm done interviewing, I go back into my kitchen, start cooking, and I'm like, what am I doing with my life? But all right. So you said Muslims across the world are celebrating Ramadan. What does Ramadan's first day typically look for a Muslim person who is observing the fast?
So, we, along with what I said, we strive for a God consciousness. We hold back from eating, from drinking, from, being intimate with our partners. We do a lot of prayers. We do a lot of reading of the Quran, because this is the month that the Quran was revealed to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. For me, this is more of a, what should I say, how to be a better human being. Don't lie, don't gossip, don't have negative behavior towards people. Stay away from watching violent shows, and I say that to my son too. And so as all of this, I'm getting into the whole conscious mind setting of doing all of that. The first day is actually very joyous. Like, this is what we've been waiting for. It's finally here. It is the best guest, that you've been waiting all the year. It's finally arrived in your home. So it gives you the joy of, fasting. It's not just all about, what we're sacrificing. Ask us, what are we honoring? Because this is a huge honor that Allah has given to us. So for me, that whole joy, one big part that is missing is that big meal that I usually share with friends and family on the first day of Ramadan. Our tradition for the last 5 years has been like, I always get invited to this one Syrian family, a very close friend of ours. It's this first family that arrived in December 2015, and they always include us on the first day of Ramadan to come and break our fast with them. And for the since last year, since COVID started, that tradition we had to break because we can't go anymore. We can't go and eat and break our fast, which is one of the most important things, to break it with friends and family. We can't do that. So there's that sadness of breaking tradition, but then there's it doesn't stop you from being, the happy person that I am, and with my son, that Ramadan's here.
A couple of questions. So first,
Right.
when we first started talking about you coming on here and talking to me about Ramadan, I asked you if we could pre-record,
Right.
and you said that you would rather come on the day of Ramadan, because I had asked you if we could pre-record because you might be busy, or maybe because you're fasting. By the end of the evening, you may not be able to, give your 100%. And but you said no, my first day of Ramadan is when I want to come on and speak about it. Why?
Because it is so important to speak about Ramadan on the day that it starts, because the feeling, it's so different. I mean, I could have said all of this to you before, but then I wouldn't have had that feeling of that happiness, that joy that it is finally here. So that feeling, and also with that comes the tardiness of you fasting all day, and then coming and still talking to the rest of the public that this is what we are doing. And there is a special meaning to that, and I didn't want that to be lost in just getting pre-recorded before.
I thought that was so sweet. I really, really, really appreciated that. I, it came from a very genuine place.
Thank
And you
you.
talked about your son. Is he fasting too?
Yes, he is fasting. He's this is his second year fasting for the full month, and we were both very excited, but then something happened. We are going through a pandemic, so just yesterday when I went to pick him up from school, he had a person in his class, his classmate got tested positive, and then right away the entire class had to go on 2 weeks quarantine. So he came back. I picked him up, and he was very worried that this is his first close contact, and he's wondering, like, what's going to happen. On his drive home, he saw a pharmacy which said right outside there was a sign that said, Mom, look, they're giving COVID vaccine in that pharmacy. And he asked me, can I get one? And I said, no, baby, you can't. It's only for people over 18. And he was very sad. And then he asked me this really disturbing question. So what do they want? All the children to die, that we can't get vaccine? I'm like, no, baby, it's just your immunity is so much stronger than all of ours. And the vaccine isn't tested on children as yet. So it's not, we don't know if it's safe for you as yet. So then he went quiet, and then he's like, okay, so what are we going to eat on the first day? So that's his next question, because when you're fasting all day, that feast has to be that perfect food, that food that is your favorite. And for me, I'm ready to move mountains to make sure he gets the food that he wants. So yes.
So
We're
for
excited together.
So for those of us who don't fast, or who don't haven't seen anyone fasting in close quarters, so tell us, what does a day of fasting look like? When do you wake up in the morning? When do you eat? And when do you break your fast? And what do you break your fast with?
We wake up like today. The time for Fajr, which is the first prayer, the early morning prayer, was at 5:16. So my son and I, we woke up at 4:30 a.m. And I asked him the night before, what do you want to eat for breakfast? I'm like, do you want this? I put a whole bunch of options in front of him. It's like, no, I just want cereal. I'm like, really? I don't think you'll survive all this the entire day just on cereal. So it was a struggle, like feeding him breakfast, and it always is, but he's still just stuck with his cereal. Then he had some fruits after that, and then water, and that's about it. So yeah, that's breakfast. And to tell you the truth, I am the same. I can't, like, when you wake up almost in the middle of the night to eat, you can't eat a big meal. You're left with just cereal or toast, that kind of a thing. But I know, like, growing up in Bangladesh, my I remember people used to actually cook cook like the sunrise meal. They used to cook the rice, warm up the rest of the curry, and then eat a full, like a dinner meal early morning. So different traditions have different ethnicities. They have their different, sunrise meal, the suhoor as we call it, or the sehri. And same for iftar too. Iftar is very particular in every region. There's particular appetizers, particular sweets, particular main course. So in Bangladesh, there's a lot of, we grew up eating a lot of fried food, which is not very healthy. But every vegetable you can think of, they will, like, dip it in batter, and they deep fry it, and then you eat it with like legumes, and yeah, a lot of this kind of food. And I miss that, but thank God we have a lot of ethnic restaurants in now, that they are there to make sure that, whatever we're missing, we're getting it from here.
I know in Pakistani homes you get ruafza,
Yes, ruafza is
the
all over
milk.
South
Oh, I
Asia.
love it.
All over South Asia. That's like a staple, I think, in all India, Pakistan,
Yeah.
Bangladesh. We'll have ruafza just by itself with cold water, or in some families, they'll add the ruafza, which is like this thick rose syrup, for those who are watching that don't know what it is. And you mix it with either cold water and ice, or you can mix it with milk and 7 Up, and it makes this amazing ruafza drink. It's like a fizzy ruafza drink. So we used to drink that a lot.
I didn't know of the 7 Up part. I've
Well,
never heard of that.
it makes it into a pop. You see, like you put a little bit of 7 Up, and then it's fizzy too. So yeah.
That's like Coke and milk. That's a very Canadian drink. My husband does not understand. I drink
Really?
Coke and milk, and he's like, "Who does Coke and milk? That's
Okay, that
blasphemy."
does sound gross. Sorry. Anyways, okay.
I mixed root beer and milk the other day.
Really?
So both me and my husband, my daughter and my husband, yeah, they don't
Well,
fully
root beer and milk makes sense.
appreciate my.
You have those root beer floats in A&W,
Yeah,
right? So yeah,
yeah.
that makes sense.
Dairy and root beer goes along really well,
Yeah,
especially with pizza. Come
yeah.
on, guys.
It does, it does. So go ahead.
All right. You said that your son is fasting. Is there any minimum age that you can start fasting at?
Well, a lot of people, they start getting their kids to encourage them to fast from a very young age. Like I did my first fast when I was 6 years old. I remember my parents allowed me to do like one,
Mm.
and then as the years went by, you do more and more. So usually by the time, it depends, like, what your tradition is, what your kind of a family you are. By the time you're a certain age, a lot of kids, they do like the full 30-day fast. But it is kind of it becomes like a necessity on you once you have hit like around 15 years of age. I guess puberty or whichever comes first. So they say that when you're nearing that age, then you should be, you're now responsible. You understand your faith, you understand what God has asked of you. So although there is no compulsion in our religion, but this is something that kids still want to do. They see their parents, they wake up early morning, so the kids, they want to wake up with their parents, and they see that nobody's eating, so they want to. So a lot of times the kids, they will fast till 12 o'clock, because they can, that's as long as they can do it, and they'll eat lunch. Some kids, they fast till 2 o'clock, so it's like a slow progression for them. So till when you're finally ready, you fast the whole day. And in Canada, obviously, it's much more difficult than kids back home, because the days are so much longer here, and sunrise isn't at 6, the sunset isn't at 6 o'clock like how it usually is back home. So
Oh, that's yeah. I
yeah.
was going to ask you if there's any compulsions or if there is. I mean, what if a kid eats in the day or breaks the fast? So,
Yes, no,
is there
there
any
is
repercussions?
definitely not. This is the whole thing. Sometimes I remember, even when I was a kid, I used to sometimes secretly eat, but then by the time it was like 2 o'clock, I just come and tell my mom, so I ate, and my mom was like, it's okay, tomorrow you'll try again. So that's that. So this is just, part of growing up, that, you slowly, slowly, get used to fasting the whole day.
And what if, as an adult, you break your fast by mistake, or you didn't, for some reason, you forgot, or you really got thirsty, hungry, whatever, and you break your fast?
So a lot of times accidentally some people do break your fast, kind of you forget, especially on the first a few days of when the Ramadan starts, when you're not like you haven't gotten into that whole rhythm. So you just, ask forgiveness from God and then you continue. If that's accidental, that is. But if you get sick, let's say you threw up or you cut your fingers and you had a lot of bleeding, then it is okay to break your fast, because there are times that you cannot fast. You cannot fast when you're sick. You cannot fast when, for women of a certain age who are menstruating, when we're having our period, we don't fast during that time. But we do have to make sure we cover those fasts after Eid. And then a lot of people, like my mom, because she's diabetic, she has high blood pressure, she has to take medicine throughout the day, so she cannot fast, even like a single day. So what she does is she pays towards charity for the amount of money that she would be putting towards her eating. She puts that like and she pays that towards charity. So God is very merciful. He's not there to punish us or anything like that. He's made our religion very easy. So there's lots of ways that you can overcome, and you can make up your fast when you can't, when you're breaking it. So
I'm going to get to a couple of comments here.
sure.
Rashmi asked the question that you already answered. Do you have to make those days later then?
Yes, you do. Especially for like, when you're accidentally, let's say you get sick and you can, or you're having a period, you can. So you make those days afterwards. You're allowed to fast like any day of the year except for the days of Eid. God has forbidden us to fast during Eid because that's a joyous celebration for us, and you're supposed to like, enjoy it. So other than that, yes, for sure you can.
And Sarah says that she was in Kuala Lumpur with her husband during Ramadan, and the feasts and celebrations at sunset were so amazing.
So true. Yes. The Ramadan feast is one of the, what should I say? If you go to any Muslim's house, you know that, the feasts are massive, and even in here, right? Like during Ramadan, the mosque, the community centers, different community association, different groups, people houses are full of iftar parties, right? So, and this is because of COVID, it's all dead now. So for us, we have to eat iftar ourselves. But I'm very lucky still. I had two Syrian moms. They already messaged me. They're like, Saima, I know you can't come to our house, but we're sending you iftar. So they're all sending us food today. So I'm really looking forward to my iftar anyways.
I always look forward to the month of Ramadan because I get my best chicken biryani in that month. Cause in everyone's house, like they cook the biryani in those big pots. It's not just like, the normal dinner cooking.
Right.
During Ramadan, it's those big pots come out, and then you get the biryani served to you in plates, like with big plates onto your plate.
Yes.
Amazing.
The
I love it.
biryani, the halim, the fruit chaat, all the what do you call it, the vegetable fritters, Oh, I'm really craving like one of those traditional iftars already.
Kevin wants to know if there is any specific Canadian Muslim iftari dish.
Yeah, that's a good question. What is a Canadian Muslim iftari dish? There
Poutine.
poutine, eh? Honestly, Muslims are so diverse. We come from every like country in every corner of the world. So in every country, everybody has their own iftar, and there's so many Canadian converts. They will be eating just what maybe the French convert is eating poutine. Who knows, Whatever dish you love the most, you eat that during your feast.
Ali says he's done poutine a few Ramzans.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So there is new tradition that's building up. And yes, Rashmi, I am very lucky. I've
Yes.
had a lot of biryani in the Northeast. I love Northeast for its
One
culture, the food.
one thing what Aisha is saying is very important. the concept of dates. No matter what we eat, we always have one thing that is universal amongst Muslims, and that is dates. We always break our fast, after we do our prayer, with dates. And that is because Prophet Muhammad, we always follow his ways, and he would always break his fast with, biting into a couple of dates. So that's something that's very universal amongst Muslims, is to have a date when you break a fast. So yes.
Simon, hold up. Someone else commented, I do want biryani right now and I love my dates. Oh my God. I wonder what dates you're talking about, Nish. We should not be talking of those things in Ramadan. Okay.
Some people send invitations out for Ramadan by saying, "Have a date with us." It has double meanings. Anyways,
We're trying to stay away from that this month.
yes, we can do that after sunset. Anyways, yes.
We talked about the spiritual aspect of Ramadan and what it means for you. I am curious about the physical side, physical impacts of it. Do you feel, maybe in the first week, do you feel that your body takes time to start adjusting to it? And once you've done it for a month, how do you feel after that month is done?
This brings me back to, like, I really want my friends that are not Muslims to be good allies towards, towards your Muslim siblings. And one of the ways a lot of people keep on asking is, do you lose weight? Does your body, are you getting slimmed down? I'm like, if you come to a Muslim iftar, you'd know that losing weight is the last thing that happens. Some Muslims actually gain weight during Ramadan. So in terms of my physical being, food withdrawal, coffee withdrawal is a real thing. So if you want to be a good ally, when you see Muslims really cranky in the first few days of Ramadan, know that it is because of our caffeine and food withdrawal. So people get a little bit cranky on the first few days. Also, your body gets into a rhythm after maybe the third or the fourth day. You just get used to not having food in your system, so you just go on. So for me, I go through the entire month of Ramadan without any coffee, except for the days when I'm not fasting, because you can't drink coffee at nighttime. The days are so long. If I drink coffee at night, it gets really difficult, right? Can't sleep. But then remember, right after we break our fast, we have like really long prayers to do, the Taraweeh prayer. So after we break our fast, then we have to stay up late night for Isha, for this long prayer of Taraweeh. And we're already full, so we're trying to sleep because we ate so late. And then you wake up and then you have to eat again after a few hours. So we have this short period of time at nighttime when you have to do a lot of eating. So for some people, they try their level best to, if they're really smart, that eat the right food during Ramadan, so you don't gain more weight. Because if you're eating kind of traditional biryani and fried food at nighttime, every night, then what happens. So people don't do that, obviously. Like on special nights, you do that, but then you go back to just whatever regular meal you would be eating if you were to just eat dinner, right? So that's kind of how I would say my body reacts. And I know a lot of people do that too.
And what about cooking? When do you cook?
Yeah, so Ramadan is all about cooking. Like I have people that are cooking like right around this time. They would start cooking because we are eating around 8:30, so you want the food to be warm. Some foods, you have to start soaking things and start cooking them much earlier, because if you're cooking meat, sometimes it takes like 3 hours to be cooked. So it's like by the way, when you are cooking, we are allowed to taste the food, but you're not allowed to swallow it, because we have to cook, and we got to make sure that that has the right salt, the right spice, and that kind of a thing. So I know that a lot of families would cook like for Ramadan. A lot of the cooking would happen even before Ramadan. So you'd see that people are preparing their samosas, their kebabs, their all the preparation for the food. It's all going in the freezer for the entire month of Ramadan. So when you are now cooking for iftar or sehri, a lot of the food is already like half made. So you just have to fry them or bake them or just throw them in the whatever and you cook them. So that kind of a thing.
Oh, because I've always wondered, because if you've been fasting all day, imagine standing in the kitchen at this time for 3 hours and having to cook for an entire family, the full feast. Huge
Right.
props to women of the families, because in majority of the families, and especially in South Asian cultures, it's women who do that work.
So true. South Asian, Arab culture, African. You tell me. I talk to women from everywhere. They're all cooking their iftar for their families. It's true that women have such strong resiliency when it comes to fasting, looking after their children, making sure the house is clean, and then doing the whole cooking. And it isn't just simple cooking, like, you cook like fresh food almost every day for Ramadan. It isn't like you cook it for 2 days and you just eat the same food for the rest of the week. Because when you're fasting, you want fresh food every night. You want like good food. You want to like sit down to food that you feel like you're looking forward to the entire day. So then that means you have to prepare the food fresh every day. So that does require, and it's almost like an ibadah, or it's a prayer for itself. You feeding your family fresh cooked food. So there's a lot of rewards that God gives you even for that.
Even minimum wage workers, people who are in labor jobs in these times. And we were in Texas a few years ago, and it used to be super hot out. And I would see these construction workers, because the house that we were living in, it was a new build, and there were a lot of construction workers around us. And there were a few who were Muslim, and they were fasting, and yet they were working in 40 degrees temperature all day, and they were not even drinking water. It's incredible amount of resilience. I mean, huge
It
respect.
is. It is. Even like think about the taxi drivers, right? They have to break their fast while they're just, still driving taxi. They stop for a bit and then they break their fast. And same when they're ready to eat, they drive taxis overnight, the Uber drivers. So you'll see like a lot of these restaurants, they'll be open till like 4 or 5 a.m. for them to stop by and eat. So, people just, it isn't like you stop everything that you're doing your life just to fast. The whole point is it's a 1 month training session to make yourself a better human being, somebody who's closer to God, somebody who is, staying away from everything that we see as sinful or that we see as being a bad version. So it takes that 1 month to train yourself, your body, your emotions, your mind. So it's and you don't do that by just stopping your life, your work. But to tell you the truth, some people, though, I know a few people that keep all their vacation time for Ramadan. So I know a few friends that are nurses, that are even in the healthcare sectors. They'll say, Saima, I didn't take any holidays throughout. I'm taking a 1 month off just during Ramadan, not because they want it easy, but because they want the time to fully connect with God. Whether it is not just the evening time, but the entire day. They want to spend that time in prayers, in remembrance of God. So that's another something very beautiful that they do. Yeah.
Is there any forbidden food in Ramadan that you can't eat?
And no, it's just for Muslims, we try and eat halal. You don't eat pork. Obviously, you don't drink alcohol. You whatever is halal for you during the rest of the year is halal for you during Ramadan.
So no
So yeah,
changes in
no
the menu.
changes in terms of food. Yes. So
Rashmi asked another interesting question. Can you sleep during the day?
oh yeah. A lot of people do sleep during Ramadan. Like I never call anyone, or at least I try not to if it's not an emergency to call anyone in the evening. because energy level is so low. Most people, they spend the evening after they finish work just sleeping, till it's time for them to wake up. So although the women are cooking, but you'll see the rest of the family members are kind of sleeping. Even the women, sometimes they'll cook earlier, and then they'll rest later, and then they warm up the food right before. So yeah, we do sleep.
Ali says he sleeps all day when he's fasting. Ali,
See?
you sleep all day anyway,
Anyways.
not just when you're fasting.
Anyways.
About prayers, how many times do you have to pray during a day during Ramadan? Do you pray more than you normally would?
Yes, you do pray more than you normally would. So, for Muslims, we're supposed to pray 5 times: the Fajr, the Dhuhr, the Asr, the Maghrib, and Isha. So, on top of these 5 prayers, there's, as I said earlier, the Taraweeh prayers, which is a really long prayer that you pray at night time after Isha. So, usually people pray that in congregation. They go to the mosque, and during that Taraweeh prayers, the entire month of Ramadan, you'll see if you go to one mosque, they will try and finish the entire Quran. So, like during our prayers, we read surahs, chapters from the Quran. So they become very long, So you definitely do a lot of extra prayers. So that's the extra prayer that you do. A lot of people will wake up in the middle of the night and pray as well. And above all, you read a lot of Quran, because, as I said, the Quran was revealed on this month. That is why this month is so special. So we do that by reading the Quran. So yes, lots of extra prayers.
And I often hear that prayers are meant to be in a congregation. How does that look in COVID now?
That's a good question, and I want to, again, bring this back to, remember when I said about being a good ally towards Muslims? So these days, because of COVID, the mosques, their capacity are massively reduced to only 15%. So, now, even for Taraweeh prayers in Akram Juma, when the men are now going to pray tonight, so, and they're only allowed, a certain number of people up till the, what do you call it, 15%. So it's like around 250 people at a time, that kind of a thing. So yeah, it's congregational prayers. During Friday prayers, we sit and we wait in our cars till the first batch of people are done, then the second batch, then the third batch, and the fourth batch. We just wait till we do it safely. So, and right now, the night prayers, the Taraweeh prayers, there's only one happening. And so very few people will get a chance actually to pray Taraweeh. It's going to be kind of a first come, first basis. So it is going to be tough. So a lot of people will be praying from home. So, you can't really do anything other than be safe. So, yeah. So when I said, about being a good ally, one of the troubling thing that is happening is, with the closure of that Grace Life Church in Spruce Grove, near Edmonton, a lot of people, they started coming in our mosque, people that are not liking the fact that Muslims are still praying, but then they would come and do videos of Friday prayers, and they'll put up and they'll make things like, okay, why are these people still praying when they are closing down churches? But they wouldn't say that the church got closed down because they were completely flaunting COVID rules. They were packed, they weren't wearing masks. So I want to let everybody know, even if you see the mosque parking lot is full, it's because we're waiting in the car, waiting for our turn to go inside the masjid and pray, because we never, flout COVID rules. We make sure that we're socially distant, we're wearing our masks, and we're following that 15% rule. So lately, we've been seeing people just calling the police on whenever they see there's cars parked outside the masjid parking lot. And it's kind of scary, because you don't want that kind of neighbors around your masjid. You want neighbors to understand that we're doing everything to make sure we follow all the Alberta Health Services rules and regulations around COVID. So to be a good ally is also to come and talk to the Muslims. It is the month of Ramadan. Roop, you're doing this interview with me, but for the rest of you, once this interview is over, learn about Islam, talk to your Muslim friends, read a book today, about us, watch a movie. There's such beautiful movie with Muslim characters like The Messenger, or Malcolm X, or The Life of Muhammad Ali. So these are kind of ways that you can understand better about what we're going through about Islam. And when you talk about Ramadan, when you're trying to understand, give it as much respect as you would give Christmas or Lent, or Hanukkah or Vaisakhi or Diwali or anything, because we're here. We live in a community with such diverse religious background, and we shouldn't, treat one less than the other. So giving that respect is so important. And the most important part is, this month is, along with the prayers, along with the not eating, we do a lot of work around charity, because this is the month of generosity. This is the month of compassion. So you'll see me always posting about doing Ramadan food hampers, about asking people to come and volunteer in distributing these food hampers, or giving financially towards this food hampers. In our Muslim community, one of the saddest things is, we have a lot of people that have come from war torn countries. They have come, and not everybody has support like you would think. Some people just think that, these people are getting government support or whatever, but a lot of them are falling through the cracks, Roop. And they always come to me. They ask me for financial support. So on Ramadan, if you're thinking that, you want to support Muslims, think about giving to a Muslim organization. Come ask me that, Saima, I want to give towards a food hamper financially. I want to buy a superstore gift card. I want to just help a family out, to make their Ramadan easy for them. So there's different ways that you can contribute and be a good ally, and be part of a, strong fabric of this community. So that's just something I wanted to add at the end.
That was much needed. And I think I'll echo what Anusha said here. That's sad that this is happening and you have to justify following the rules. Thank you for raising awareness. And we have a couple of questions. Rashmi wants to know, is virtual group prayer an option or not?
So for us, the Friday prayers is what is kind of mandatory for men to be in a congregation. So we cannot do that on a virtual prayer like a lot of other people can. So that being said, our imams have said, do it at home. It's okay. But if you can make it, the masjid is making the provisions to do multiple batches, like I said. So for us, a virtual prayer is not an option. So yeah.
And Pavan has a question too. He says, who announces the start of Ramadan in Canada, or who sights the moon?
Oh God, now you're gonna make me start talking about the moon fighting and the moon sighting fights. So, this is like, sometimes this argument is so horrible that sometimes I'd see that the Northwest is doing Ramadan on one day and the Northeast is doing Ramadan on the other day. But that being said, we follow our local mosques. That's what the tradition is. But usually back home, you'll see the new moon, the sighting of the new moon. There'll be people going out there, and then there'll be a siren, back home, that okay, or there'll be drums. They'll announce that it's Ramadan starts tomorrow. We have seen the new moon. But usually a lot of people at the masjids, they will follow Saudi Arabia, and they'll say, okay, they have announced that Ramadan starts tomorrow, so we just follow that, and then we just basically follow what the local mosque that you go to do. So that's usually the tradition.
I think I read somewhere on Facebook. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I read somewhere on Facebook, I don't know who posted, that they were saying that the city is now going to allow the mosques to make that announcement every evening. Is that true?
So it's not an announcement, it's the adhan. So that's the
Yes.
wonderful thing. Yes. So the adhan is the call for prayers, right? Or in
Is
Urdu,
it called azan in India? Is that the
yeah,
same
as
thing?
the azan, or like some So it's that dal or zal, so it's like, in Arabic you call it the adan, in Urdu you call it the azan. So anyway, so that is going to be, thankfully, like last year, Calgary, Edmonton, and all major cities in Canada, they've announced that we can put out the loudspeakers outside our masjids and play the azan for like 5 minutes. It's actually shorter than that, but they said you can play it till up to 5 minutes. So that's just a call for prayer. And it's really, really soothing for us. And it gives such coolness to the heart when you hear that, because that's what we're used to before we would break their fast, is we'll hear the adhan and then we put that date in our mouth. So a lot of people in Whitehorn will be very happy because they'll be able to hear the adhan from Akram Juma. And then
I
all the other masjids are playing it as well. So yes.
I think it's soothing for all of us who come from, well, in India as well. When I was growing up, I've heard it, and we've heard it in Bollywood movies too. And there's this strange, not strange, there's this sense of calmness, serenity with it. It's just like Gurdwara, when in the morning, when the Gurdwara starts their morning prayers, it's just something you grow up with. And it's,
Right,
yeah.
exactly. It does take you back to your childhood a lot, and it's that little bit of a happiness that you get during this pandemic. And I pray to God that even after this pandemic ends, this still stays, because it gives so much joy to our heart just to listen that for just a short period of time. You'd even see people just going over to the mosque. They would just sit in their car in the parking lot and just bring their iftar with them, and eat it while they're listening to the adhan. So
Oh,
yeah.
lovely. So another question. I'm sorry I can't read Urdu, so I can't read your name. Would you be able to hear it in Saddletown? I don't think so. It's
That's a
too
great
far.
question. No, in Saddle Ridge, I don't know if there is a mosque. If there is a mosque, then you might. Depends on, like, where the mosques are. So wherever the designated mosques are, if they're doing the adhan, you should be able to hear it. So yes.
Interesting. Ali says he goes on the top of the hill on Canada Olympic Park to sight the moon. So he doesn't need anyone to tell him.
Ali, you're doing it right, man. Yes, a lot of people would, like, as children, we would all go on top of our roof right before it's time for Ramadan. We'd all go on top of the roof to see the new moon, and we do that right before Eid too, to see the new moon, because that's like one of the most exciting time, because that's when it's starting tomorrow, that Ramadan's tomorrow or Eid is tomorrow, whichever.
I
Yes.
think we've covered all the questions that were there. Is there anything else you want to add, Saima?
You know what? All I want to say is just, wish each other, happy Ramadan, Ramadan Mubarak, Ramadan Kareem. Don't be shy sending these messages to your friends. And what else? There's delicious iftar getting made in all the Muslim stores and restaurants all over Calgary and all over Canada. Try specialty iftar one of these days, and pick it up and see how it feels. Other than that, as I said, if you want to volunteer, if you want to give towards a Muslim family that's fasting, come to me and let me know, and I'll definitely connect you with them. So thank you, Roop.
Thank you so much. Ali had a photo of Ruavza on screen for the entire time that you were talking.
I saw that. Now I think I'm gonna go buy some.
for for those of you who don't know what Ruavza is, now you know. And we're not sponsored by Hamdard. We're not sponsored by Ruavza. I wish we were, though. But it was lovely chatting with you. Thank you for all the insights that you've given us. And I mean, of course, like as someone sitting on the outside, and I have friends who, are Muslim and they do observe fasts, and I've seen it for the last many, many years. And I participate in the festivities in iftar, and of course, I haven't fasted personally, but I've seen that entire process, and it is always so intriguing to me how somebody gets that strength to do this day in, day out. So I have massive respect for the entire community, everybody who is currently, fasting,
Thank you.
especially at this time when days are so long.
You
Huge
know
power
that
to you.
That's why I just want to wish my fellow Muslims that are watching this, Ramadan Kareem, may all your prayers and your Siyam, Qiyam, everything be accepted. And we hope that this pandemic ends soon so that we can again gather and have fellowship and have those big ass Ramadan parties again. Take care, guys.
I told you that we were going to talk for 20 minutes, but it is 43 minutes already. What's the difference between Ramadan Mubarak and Ramadan Kareem? And after that, you can take your leave.
Yeah, well, nothing, just Ramadan Mubarak is, congratulations on Ramadan, and kind of the same, may the blessings of Ramadan be upon you. That's Ramadan Kareem, just different ways you wish, Merry Christmas, Happy Christmas, that's just the same. So yes.
Thank you so much for making the time for us, Saima. Ramadan Mubarak to you, Ramadan Kareem, and we wish you well for this month of Ramadan and later.
Thank you, Roop. Thank you. I really appreciate you and Ali doing this show, and I hope you guys have lots of success and you keep on diversifying your audience and keep on highlighting all these wonderful topics. So thank you, guys. Bye for now. Bye-bye.